But the 25th Amendment is there to provide a backstop if, in fact, the president becomes incapacitated. You may remember
Do you
that
believe he's incapacitated?
Well, I think that we have got to be very careful. He needs to start acting presidential. I mean, he has got to get a grip. And so the 25th Amendment is there if a president becomes incapacitated.
That's Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Speier talking about the prospect of the vice president and the majority of the cabinet invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. It's a highly implausible argument to make, but she is not the only one. But are Democrats taking their opposition to Mr. Trump too far? The panel back with me now. Jason, 25th Amendment?
Look, I just think of it this way, is that if President Trump were president during the Cuban Missile Crisis, then at that point, we might, if that had been the case, we might have hoped that somebody had started this conversation at some point, because I don't know if we'd all be sitting here. So all I know is he doesn't seem to be a very steady hand.
So he is a yes on the House of Cards strategy to take down President Trump. But what I think is just laughable about all this is that the Democrats' long shot scenario is actually making Mike Pence president. And so if that's what we got, sign me up too.
Senator?
This is absurd. There's no possibility of this to happen. The fact that they're even talking about this just tells you this is the ace in the hole that Donald Trump has. The left always overplays their hand. They always go one step too far, and they look just as crazy as they're portraying Donald Trump to be.
Nina.
Well, Thomas Jefferson once said dissent is the highest form of patriotism. So if the Democrats really believe that, and others, then have at it. But just as the president can't just govern by rallies and executive orders, Democrats can't either. We have a Flint water crisis to deal with. According to Rutgers, we have over 3,000 other municipalities that still have higher levels of lead. Let's do something for the American people and stop playing these I gotcha games.
Let me ask you, because beyond the 25th Amendment, there's a new political action committee launched just this week. It's called We Will Replace You, the you being, of course, Mr. Trump, warning being Democrats who don't stand in the way of President Trump across the board, or they will face a primary challenge. It says among the group's demands, opposing all Trump appointees and all of Trump's legislative priorities, systematically bring all business to a crawl, and publicly supporting impeachment if Trump is found to have broken the law or the Constitution. Jason, is that a viable strategy?
Well, I think it's obviously something. There are going to be people who are focused on that, right? But it's not necessarily a bad thing when there are people coming up behind you saying, hey, we want to make sure you perform well. I mean, they always say, like in spring training, when an all-star player is there and he sees that somebody's been invited to camp who plays his position, he tends to have a better seat.
But this is different. This is not about, well, you can say it's well, but this is sort of invoking almost a Republican strategy here, saying, right, if you're not 100% opposed, we're going to get someone who will be opposed to you and challenge you in the primary.
Yeah, and what they're saying, I think, if you look at what they've said so far, they've not said that they're looking for people now. They're just sort of putting that out there.
But there's
as a standard.
why Republican strategies work when they do this. As someone who's been very familiar with how groups like Senate Conservatives Fund, Freedom Works, Heritage work, you don't set this vague standard to oppose everything. You have to tie it to a vote, to a letter. There has to be something tangible
wait.
that you can trigger a primary.
Oppose everything is also not a new strategy. Let's be fair.
Yeah, you can oppose everything, but saying we're going to primary you unless you oppose everything, you're never going to enforce that. That's designed to fail. You have to tie it to something tangible where you can actually say, okay, that person didn't do it. Now we will launch a primary.
Does this, Nina, help or hurt the Democratic Party, in your view, this kind of strategy?
You've got to shake it up a bit, but the everything model, again, I agree, does not work. I mean, we have lots of work to do in this country, and it can't be everything. I mean, if President Trump is going to live up to his promise that he wants to make sure that folks have better health care in this country, or he wants to make the investment of billions or $1 trillion in infrastructure that will put Americans back to work, or even the bill that Senator Bernie Sanders and Congressman Elijah Cummings are working on in terms of prescription drug prices. If, in fact, he's going to follow through on that, then Democrats should support that. But where there is a need to oppose him, they should do that. And if the grassroots folks feel as though Democrats are not standing up, speaking up, and living up to the promises that they have made to stand up for the people, then, yeah, let's shake it up.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Nina, Senator Santorum, Jason, and